All right, so an attempt to sort of organize this or color code it. The yellow is Vardaman describing the action that he's actually taking. The blue is where his mind is, and as you can see, the two kind of blend together quite a bit. And hopefully, we're picking up the tone of these things. This is one of the things Vardaman's chapter is an example of is the use of syntax to create a sense of, in this case, urgency or panic, or even anger and rage. Why do I say that? Well, we start with a bunch of short sentences. I know a lot of kids, when they write about syntax, they say a lot of short, choppy sentences or long ones. But what we want to see is how that creates maybe a rhythm when we are forced to read, um, following the rules of punctuation. Right? Then I begin to run. I run toward the back and come to the edge of the porch and stop. Then I begin to cry. There's also a repetition here, right? Then I begin to run. There's no reason to say I run again, right? I run toward the back. You could just say, then I begin to run toward the back. Uh, there's a repetition again. Then I begin to cry. All right, and that's going to kind of stick with the action. If I jump off the porch, I jump from the porch running. The top of the barn comes swooping up out of the twilight. My hands grab at the bushes. Beneath my feet, the rocks and dirt go rubbling down. I enter the stall trying to touch him, and then I can cry. Then I vomit the crying. As soon as he gets through the kicking, and then I can cry. The crying can. Right. So there's a particular rhythm to that, and it's reflected also in his thoughts. I can feel where the fish was in the dust. It is cut up into pieces of not fish now, not blood on my hands and overalls. Then it wasn't so. It hadn't happened then. And now she is getting so far ahead I cannot catch her. This is the moment after she dies. As reported by another character, he has gone outside. He's left the room. He's gone running. In his mind, he's talking about the fish, and he's starting to have this sort of existential question about how time affects us and how his mother. So there was a fish, and then it was chopped up, and it's not a fish anymore, although we still call it fish, but it's not what it originally was. And there was a period when his mother was alive, the fish was intact. Now his mother is gone, and the fish is chopped up. It's just processing in some sort of incoherent way. The trees look like chickens when they ruffle out into the cold dust on the hot days. That should be highlighted in blue, sorry. Vardaman will use farm type imagery to process his world. If I jump off the porch, I will be where the fish was, and it all cut up into not fish now. I can hear the bed and her face and them, and I can feel the floor shake when he walks on it. That came and did it. That came and did it when she was all right, but he came and did it. Again, the syntax here is to repeat things to there's a shift to a run on. I can hear the bed and her face and them, and I can feel the floor shake when he walks on it. That came and did it. That came and did it when she was all right, but he came and did it. There's obviously that refrain of him coming and doing it. Who came and did it? Well, the floor shakes when he walks. That fat son of a bitch. I jump from the porch running. The top of the barn comes swooping up out of the twilight. If I jump, I can go through it like the pink lady in the circus into the warm smelling without having to wait. My hands grab at the bushes beneath my feet. The rocks and dirt go rumbling down. So he's looking at how did he get to this point in time? How did this happen? Because Peabody, the fat guy, showed up at the time that his mother died. He is inappropriately or incorrectly applying cause and effect. Then I can breathe again in the warm smelling. This is going to be an image throughout the chapter as well. I enter the stall, trying to touch him, and then I can cry. Then I vomit the crying. Right? Again, this is syntax that's being used here to sort of. There's no pause. There's repetition without any. We just follow where his mind is going. I enter stall, trying to touch, and then I can cry. Then I cry. So I shouldn't even put that pause there, right? And then I can cry. Then I vomit the crying. As soon as he gets through kicking, I can, and then I can cry. The crying can. Right? It's almost turning into Dr. Seuss here in his mind. He killed her. He killed her. Now, yes, I should have made the thoughts blue, but I'm only human. The life in him runs under the skin, under my hand, running through the splotches, smelling up into my nose where the sickness is, beginning to cry, vomiting the crying. and then I can breathe, vomiting it. All right. Again, all this repetition, things kind of crunching in on themselves. Also, this idea of the smelling or the life in him runs under the skin. He's trying to sort out what is the thing that left his mother, right? Here's a child who is not really developmentally able to process something as abstract as death. And not only that, but his mother's been in his house, lying in bed. And now there's been a shift that you can't really observe, right? She's been lying still, and now people say she's dead. He doesn't quite know what that means. He was sort of chasing a thing at the beginning that was missing, maybe her spirit or soul. It makes a lot of noise. I can smell the life running up from under my hands, up my arms, and then I can leave the stall. I cannot find it. In the dark, along the dust, the walls, I cannot find it. The crying makes a lot of noise. I wish I wouldn't make so much noise. Then I find it in the wagon shed, in the dust, and I run across the lot and into the road, the stick jouncing on my shoulder. Right, so he's gone from thoughts to action. They blend together. He's found a stick. They watch me as I run up, beginning to jerk back, their eyes rolling, snorting, jerking back on the hitch rein. I strike. I can hear the stick striking. I can see it hitting their heads, the breast yoke, missing altogether sometimes as they rear and plunge, but I am glad. You killed my ma. The stick breaks, they rearing and snorting, their feet popping loud on the ground. Loud because it is going to rain and the air is empty for the rain. Okay, so what he's done here is he has found a stick and he's hit the horses of Peabody's buggy, which is going to make them freak out and run away. But it is still long enough. I run this way and that as they rear and jerk at the hitch rein, striking. You killed her. I strike at them, striking. They wheeling in a long lunge, the buggy wheeling on two wheels and motionless like it is nailed to the ground, and the horses motionless like they are nailed by the hind feet to the center of a whirling plate. Okay, these are run-on sentences. This means you can't pause, which forces you, again, this is syntax, to read with the same breathlessness that his thoughts and his actions are happening with. All right. This also is highlighted because this image is awfully lyrical for a kid who is talking about chickens and circus ladies. This image of the horses motionless like they're nailed the center of a whirling plate. Unusual for him, but we'll talk about why he maybe thinks with such big words, which he does at the end of the chapter a little bit later. So actually, I run in the dust, I cannot see, the stick striking to the ground, bouncing, striking to the dust. So this goes on, and this is all yellow because he's mostly describing what he does. He goes by the barn, he goes to the cows standing in the barn door chewing. He refuses to milk her. This is also a point where he narrates things that we can see and that overlap in the chapter. It is dark in the barn, warm, smelling, silent. All right, these are things that have been repeating. These are images or details associated with him. I'm going to call it, it's hard to say. Can we touch? Well, smelling is not a particular smell. We'll call it an image that we can associate with him. Now, when he gets down here, he's saying out loud, then hit want. What he's saying is then it wasn't. This is phonetic for his accent. Then it want. Hit hadn't happened yet then. Hit was laying right there on the ground, and now she's getting ready to cook it. That's Dewey Doe getting ready to cook the fish. He's associating the fish again from the beginning with his mom. And then we have this weird paragraph. It is dark. I can hear wood, silence. I know them, but not living sounds, not even him. It is as though the dark were resolving him out of his integrity into an unrelated scattering of components, snuffings and stampings, smell of cooling flesh and ammoniac hair, an illusion of a coordinated whole of splotched hide and strong bones within which detached and secret and familiar and is different from my is. Okay, I'm going to pause for a second there. That sounds like nonsense. But here's the thing, just for clarification. The illusion, let's see. He's down by Jules' horse, okay? And he's talking about it as dark. It is as though the dark were resolving him out of his integrity, his wholeness. Because it's dark, he can't see the horse. He just knows the horse is there because of an unrelated scattering of components, the things that make up a horse, snuffings and stampings. So because it's dark, he doesn't see and take in the horse. Now he just knows the components of horse, snuffings and stampings, smells of cooling flesh and ammoniac hair, an illusion of a coordinated whole of splotched hide and strong bones within which, detached and secret and familiar, and is what is. So he's moved from this idea that, well, I don't know if he's moved from it. He's contemplating the difference between the physical elements, the components of what a horse is, and then it is. Is a form of to be, right? To exist. So he's talking about sort of the life within the horse as separate from its physical components. I see him dissolve, legs, a rolling eye, a gaudy splotching like cold flames, and float upon the dark and fading solution. All one, yet neither. Either, yet none. Again, processing what makes a horse. Is it the physicality of the horse? Is it the thing inside? And he's wondering what the thing inside is, because it's just the thing inside his mother has left. What is his mother? Her hair, her eyes, the person that he sees, or is she the person that takes care of him? Is she her actions? Is she, if her actions haven't changed in 10 days, what has changed about her? So it's not sensical. And you may have noticed, hopefully, that his language has changed here. If you didn't know the word, um, if you didn't understand the phrase resolving him out of his integrity, uh, then how does he, right? I can see, sorry, so his diction is shifted here. I see him dissolve and float upon the dark and fading solution, all one yet neither, all either yet none. I can see hearing coil toward him, caressing, shaping his hard shape, fetlock, hip, shoulder, and head, smell and sound. I am not afraid. Right, so he's touching the horse, but the horse also has things you can't touch, like smell and sound. He's thinking about what are the components. And his final statement is cooked in it, which is about the fish again that's going to be cooked and eaten. So how does Vardaman go from being almost illiterate to having the language that sounds like another character, actually? And hopefully you can identify that. His diction has shifted here. The imagery is shifted. He's contemplating big ideas. One way of looking at this is that he can think about these things, and they're hard to think about, the nature of life, what is gone. But he can't put it into words. So what Faulkner maybe has done here is dipped into that part of our thinking that is beyond our language. In other words, can we think about things for which we don't have words? Here, of course, we can feel things. Maybe he can't put it all together. And obviously, it's not very clear. I don't have an exact conclusion for what this is, but it has to do with the nature of life.